for confirmation.
For what?
She's here for student. She's a student looking for confirmation of attendance for credit.
For credit, okay.
Okay.
What's her name?
Get her information later.
Okay, can we take roll?
Okay, Layla Aguilera is excused. Nicole Ariella Clark.
Here.
John Barbera.
Here.
Dick Christensen here. John DeMiglio, Craig Goldfarb, and Cynthia Gagne are all excused. Gwen Henry.
Here.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Ben Norman.
Here.
Thomas Norman is excused. Ray Regaletto.
Here.
Michael Signorelli.
He'll be in and out. He's here.
No, he's got to
He's
be
working.
He's got to be here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, he is not here. Adam Stevenson.
Here.
Angela Sumner is in transit. Chris Valle. Also not here. Okay, we have 9. We have just made 4.
Okay, we have quorum. We'll move on to agenda item number 2. That's general public comment. And we're going to start off with what we have here in front of us. I have 2 from Gwen. Will you be using the full 4 minutes? You're here as a stakeholder, remember.
Gwen Henry, stakeholder. So today I actually was driving down Eshelman, and a lot of people were driving by a man who had an epileptic fit. He fell out of his vehicle, and he was there, and people were driving by. Nonetheless, I stopped people in traffic, honked the horn. People came running, finally. Luckily, I have taken emergency services and CRT and CERT training and CPR. I knew what to do for somebody who had epilepsy, but he also looked like he had a head injury. I knew what to do for that. So I would like to request that somehow we try to find out how we can get a CPR class in Northwest or some kind of CERT training. I know that there's been difficulties, but if we could do that, thank you. And then the next thing is the animal shelter.
This is item number 2.
This is item number 2. The Harbor
When
Animal Shelter.
hold the mic closer to your mouth.
The Harbor Animal Shelter. Is this good? It's kind of sensitive. So they are still in crisis mode. They are filled to capacity and over capacity. There's a lot of paperwork in the back, how to be a foster, the Harbor Animal Shelter wish list. From what I understand, a lot of people were gathering things for the Maui fire emergency, but a lot of those things are no longer being requested. If somebody had piled up towels and things like that, there's a lot of things on the list that you could actually redirect to the Harbor Animal Shelter or to one of the other deserving services and 501c3s around here. But there's a foster application back there. I had mentioned this one before, but I'm reminding again that Stacy Daines has been appointed as the general manager of Animal Services. She has been taking tours of the different shelters, and I believe that it would be, I'm asking as a stakeholder that we put in a motion for Council File 23-0588 related to the mayor's appointment to support that, but I'm hoping that one of our committees can also look through and see, maybe speak to the Harbor Animal Services and find out some of the concerns that they have and put in some of the caveats to supporting her appointment. Also, there's a state bill AB 332, and that's the Shelter Animal Data Collection Act. and it was authored by Assembly Member Alex Lee of San Jose. And I would like to ask that we possibly reach out to Tim McOsker, that if he would consider what, I'm sorry.
It's time.
Okay.
Thank you. Next is Ellen Franz.
Thank you, Ray. I'd just like to announce 3 events coming up this week and next week, largely due to the sponsorship of Diana Nave. We have 2 walks right here in Peck Park in the canyon. This Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning will be an exercise walk, and the 4th Saturday of the month, which will be about 10 days after this Wednesday, there'll be a nature walk in the canyon, again, starting at 9. Both of them will start from the trailhead on the lower side of this building. So if you would like to see Peck Park Canyon and exercise and learn something about the trees and geology and so forth, there's an opportunity. There is also an effort to improve the park, and on Tuesday next week? Wednesday next week, the 23rd, is it? The 23rd is a volunteer service day from 8 to 11. Checking everything with Diana. 8 to 11 at the intersection of Elberon and Walker. They form an L corner, and there's a trailhead going down into the park, and that's an area where last fall we planted close to 200 native plants, and we're going to go do some servicing in the area, put up some signage, and take care of a few other maintenance issues. And hopefully everybody has heard we're having a high likelihood of an El Nino with high rainfall coming this next winter as well. So we're getting ready. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Next up, we have Diana Nave.
Thank you. Actually, Alan said most of what I was going to say. I do want to say 2 more things about it. The planting was the planting that this neighborhood council paid for the plants, and we will be installing a sign, I think, that day that says that it's a planting in progress and paid for by the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. And the nature walk that Alan mentioned, he's the one that leads that walk. So wanted to put in a plug for that. And then I wanted to announce Feed and Be Fed's annual fundraiser. Yeah, this neighborhood council supported Feed and Be Fed this last year also. Their fundraiser is Saturday the 26th, same day as the nature walk. The fundraiser is from 5 to 8 p.m. in the garden on 6th Street, and tickets are $50. If anyone's interested, let me know. I can help you get tickets. Thank you. Saturday the 26th. From 5 to 8 p.m. in the garden on 6th Street.
Thank you, Diana. And our last public speaking card is Vic Christensen as a stakeholder.
Just to give a quick update on Senate Bills 411 and 537, which have to do with the virtual meetings. Both passed through the, I believe it was the local government committee in the Assembly about a month or so ago. I believe the votes were 7-0 for 411 and 6-1 for 537. Next step is the full Assembly. Haven't heard a specific date yet because they've been on recess, but the Senator Portantino who's the sponsor of 411. His staffer said that it would likely be or possibly be in late August. So sometime soon, hopefully, we'll hear about what that date is. And that's all.
Thank you. That takes care of agenda item number 2. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, the homelessness liaison report.
Good evening, board and audience. As usual, I want to start my report by emphasizing the importance of LA HOP. This is truly a way to, if you do witness somebody experiencing homelessness out on the street, you see them consistently, please go into the lahop.org portal and enter the information. This triggers outreach to come help somebody, and you can be anonymous when you send that in. But this is truly one of the best ways to get immediate help to somebody out there. The CD15 working group met on August 1st. You can read through the report. I gave an update in here on the Lamita McCoy encampment. 62 plus people were moved into motels. Most of them high retention. They've stayed there. A few, there were reasons that they're not there anymore. If anybody you noticed in the LA Times, they had an article about, they put it that 1 in 6 people on Inside Safe are not staying in the motels. I prefer to look at it as 5 out of 6 are. That's a tremendous record. So the program's working well, and the county is really watching this and is partnering with the city to try and spread that program to more than just LA City. So you can look at the numbers on that. Some people if you drive by Lomita McCoy, you might see some tents there again. These are not the same people. Word spread. If you go there, you could get to a motel. They do not have more motels right now, but outreach is calling on them weekly to try and help these people find a shelter of some kind to go to. The 5 Points encampment, the same thing. There's a few more tents back there, but mainly this is much better than it has been. The CD15 working group brainstormed a few ideas. You can look through the report to see what those are. Most of my report this month is about evictions, and that's because on August 1st, people who would not be evicted if they had been paying 25% of their rent, that program is over. And so the mayor is very concerned that there will be a new wave of people experiencing homelessness. So you can look through there. I have LA City, LA County, and the state links. So if you know of anybody who needs help, there's links for them to know what their rights are. And if you have any more questions, I'm now keeping my email address on the top of this report. You could just reach out to me. I don't have this substantiated, but supposedly there was a chance that there was quite a few people at Blue Butterfly that were going to be evicted, which is in our area. So I'm waiting to get an update on that. I don't see Jocelyn here tonight, but I have links to the Inside Safe program with the mayor. And then the statistics on the homeless count, there's no change on there. They are not going to release data on a city level, so that is what it is. So that's really about it for my report, unless anybody had any questions.
So we'll go ahead and take comment. Anyone around the table have any comment? I don't see any hands, but I would like to say that the evictions and the resources associated with people who are being evicted, it also covers the landlord too. They can also go and look for some of these resources so that perhaps the landlord can get it. Many people who have property that are being rented out to individuals, they're mom and pop organizations. They have, 1 or 2 units, and this is how they make their money. So it's really important that these resources are going to both sides of it.
You are correct. There are mortgage relief programs, and those are on our website.
So I'll take any questions from the audience if there's any. None? Okay. Thank you very much, Lori. All right. That moves us to agenda item number 4, and that's our elected officials. I only see one elected official representative, and that's Amanda. And I think Amanda, along with the great reports that she gives, she also has a special presentation.
Do you want me to start with the presentation or end with it?
Yeah, we can finish off with the grand presentation.
Sounds good. All right. I don't have much. There's a few things that I wanted to talk about that have been asked of us. So I am working, and thank you to Melanie for sending all that information over to us for the issue on Target. The Target parking lot off of Capitol. There's leaking water. So if you guys don't know it yet, we have what we're calling our Clean 15 crew. So now it's just 2 individuals. The goal is to build it out. But I do have them going on Friday to clean all the yucky stuff. And then we will have street sweeping after. On Wednesday, I have a meeting set up with all of the departments, LADWP, building and safety, street services, to kind of all get together and address the issue and to avoid any finger pointing. And also Target, I was able to speak to, I believe his name is Jason at Target. John. I think it's John.
Kevin?
No, Kevin is the manager, but John is the property management supervisor or something like that. Some fancy title. Also, we're working with street services to address and figure out what's going on with the bike lanes on Gaffey. I drove them. There's a lot of street sweeping is not going to remove anything. It's just going to kind of drive over it. So we're going to work and try to figure out how we can address and make sure that both lines are visible, because I think right now there's only the further line that is visible. It kind of disappears every once in a while. So figuring out and working with the departments to kind of maybe re-engage, repaint the lines or something like that. Let's see. There was an issue today underneath the 110 freeway. Not sure if you guys know about that. So I am working, and I sent out a message to the port, and also because that is port property. So the location next to the skate park underneath the freeway, there's a lot of activity going on under there. And today there was actually a fire. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe anybody was hurt. I think they put the fire out. It wasn't close to the businesses as it has been before. But we are working. So I sent out a message to the port, to Port Police, to the Assembly Office, and also to Caltrans to see if we can figure out what we can do to better secure that area. There's a few things. I have some of these over on the table. On the 26th at 10 a.m. Is our next San Pedro Town Hall. Cannolis and coffee with the council member. So come have conversations, cannolis and coffee. It's at the Grand Annex. And so again, there are some flyers over that way. I also sent a digital flyer out to Ray, so if he wants to send that out to everyone. There's also a solar workshop that's going to be at Brewery West on Thursday. All homes within our 1-5 are eligible. So the council member will be talking about environmental justice issues, his views on some of the LADWP programs that they have. So if you'd like to hear about it, it's August 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I believe after is lunch as well, and maybe some beer tasting. So if you have nothing to do on a Thursday. I think that's pretty much it. So, also, on Thursday night at 5 p.m. Thursday's a busy day, okay? Thursday night at 5 p.m. at Point Furman, there will, Rec and Park will be talking about the RFP for the Point Furman Community Center and also the Point Furman Lighthouse Residency. So they'll be talking about what the RFP includes, and I believe they'll be taking questions at that time as well.
Okay. I see a couple of hands. I saw Melanie's hand up first, and then Gwen, you can come up next.
Two things. So, has the Gaffey thing did property management acknowledge to you guys that they haven't fixed the sprinklers, or is this something that's an ongoing thing that they keep breaking and they're fixing them? Do you know?
Well,
because before they were blaming it on Berrywood and said it wasn't them.
yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I do know that they feel that it's a water main underneath. I know, and LADWP says that it's not. So again, I just, my process is get everybody in the room and let's figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
It's the easiest way to figure it out. The email threads get too long and you're like, wait, what did he say? What did she say? And so just getting everybody on a Zoom screen or in a room together to kind of talk out what the process is, how we address the situation, and what needs to be done.
And to clean it up and keep it from happening again.
So that's I'm taking responsibility for that. I will make sure that our clean team goes out until we figure out, and then we'll schedule the clean team to clean up, and then also street sweepers to come and take any additional residents.
Then the other thing was the fire at Channel under by the skate park over there. You are aware it was a female that started the fire, right?
I am not a cop or the fire department, so I don't know.
It was a female that started the fire out
how
there.
It happened. Yeah, I don't know.
According to witnesses, and so there's a whole group that's over there right now. It's a huge group, and so.
Well, if you have information or you know what that person looks like or whoever told you that, I would suggest putting it in LA Hop, because I don't have that information, or so you can send it over to our office, or, if you want to just put the report in, they do send you an email with the case number. You can forward that over to Christian and myself.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to double down on what Lori said. Even when you guys call me and say there's an encampment or there's something going on here, there's a person here, I put it in LA Hop. So LA Hop is the way that LASA can account for all of the cases. So if I call John Oliver or somebody from LASA and say, hey, there's a person over here, there's no real paper trail on that. So they would like us to use LA Hop as that paper trail. So it holds them accountable as well, right? Because you'll get a response when they'll say, hey, either we didn't have enough information or we made contact, or, HIPAA reasons, they can't give you too much information. But please use LA Hop. It's just like 311. It just holds us accountable, and it quantifies how many different issues that there are going on. So if you have that information, or whoever told you that information
You want
about,
me to just log it into LA Hop?
please.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Gwen?
Back to the fire over there. Actually, when Tim McOsker was at the Cinco de Mayo festival at the community garden, there was a fire right off the freeway over there. And the gardeners would like to have some cohesive information. Of course, LA Hop, this is going to be a great thing to give them, maybe a flyer if that's it for that. But is there any other way to communicate? Can there be cards for people within Tim McOsker's office that can be provided for that? Because there is activity. And there is also another issue, is that there's starting to be thefts not only at the Department of Sanitation, but within the garden. And because of the access points, it's hard to really figure it out. But is there anything, if there's can be
I don't
some
know
kind
if
of...
I understood your first question. I can send Jesse over the information on how to fill out an LA Hop, if that would help.
In Spanish and English, it would be great to have a flyer.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's the best way to do it. If you guys want, if you fill them out, like I said, you can forward them over to me, so that just alerts us. I can tell George Magallanes, who is our unhoused coordinator, but that's pretty much what we can do. I can send it to Jesse. In terms of the thefts and those kind of things,
Give it to those guys over there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and a way for them to directly communicate when there's activity and how to file a report. But once again, our most important thing is to have all of this in Spanish, other languages. We have other languages that are spoken within the garden. So
I'm pretty sure I just did a LA hop today. I think each one it's English/Spanish, all the questions.
Great.
And so, yeah,
Okay, fantastic.
of course.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have a question regarding the fire.
I feel like I need a step stool.
We can move a chair over and you can stand on top of the chair.
That sounds dangerous.
The fire, where was it in proximity to the skate park or whatever?
It was literally underneath the freeway. So if you're familiar with the corner there's the railroad tracks, and then there's a little hill that goes up, which does have a fence. So I'm not sure if the fence was breached or how they may have just hopped over. But it was underneath the freeway.
So it had nothing to do with like the kids or the people using the skate park?
No.
Okay.
No.
Great.
It was underneath the freeway.
And I think that's one of the advocacy points for the skate park is that, when they're occupying that space, it limits the amount of, other things that go on in those areas.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we have one more question.
Amanda, I just got, over the weekend, I went by there, and a couple of the skaters that I know, Caesar and Kyle, they're usually out there on the weekends. And I was talking to Caesar. They've been talking with Andy and April. So what they're doing is they're going around making sure there isn't people there. If there's homeless, they tell them, this is not a place to be. And they're keeping it clean under that section over there. So, and they're the eyes and ears. They asked me, matter of fact, what, in case something happens or they got people there that are doing things that shouldn't be. And I said, contact, our Harbor PD and let them know what's happening there and who's out there.
Yeah, the challenge for that area is that it's not LAPD, it's actually Port Police. So that whole railroad track there is port property. And then obviously Caltrans has jurisdiction because the freeway is there.
Even a skate park?
The skate park is on Caltrans lot, so it was originally port property. I don't know if you've seen the movie that April did, but yeah, it's originally port property, and so that's kind of what makes it a little difficult. But
So
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone from the audience with questions? I see no hand. Oh, Diane.
Make a comment. I was going to actually make it later, but it's relevant to that, which is, the source has a plan for beautification of North Daphne that comes out of a proposal that this council wrote back in 2002, being funded under the China shipping settlement. It went out to bid, there was a problem with the bid, and so they've gone back out to bid. But part of that project should help in the end when that beautification project gets done, because that is exactly the area that would be cleaned up, beautified, and then Port Police could actually police it as well.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's
Okay. Thank you.
All right, now to the good stuff. Mr. Dixon, if you'd like to join me over here.
Mr. Dixon? Oh, no, not you, Dan, your brother. I mean,
First, I'd like to apologize. I was supposed to bring this last month, but there was miscommunication.
Are those his walking papers? Oh. Okay.
So on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and the 1-5, we would like to recognize you for your outstanding commitment to serving the Northwest San Pedro for over 2 decades. Wow, that's amazing. We truly appreciate all the work that you do. All good? Anything else?
Dan, if I could say that I truly appreciate all the help, all the guidance, all the modeling, everything that you did to help us be a better neighborhood council throughout the years. You're the stand-up guy for neighborhood councils. Thank you so much for all your help.
He'll be back next year.
Okay. That's it for our elected officials. We do have members of our public safety representatives. So who's the lucky individual who will? Okay. Thank you for being here, Officer Lee.
Of course. Sorry we were a little late. We got tied up on some other things, but I'm Officer Lee, Senior Lead Officer of Central. However, I've been taking over Northwest as well as Coastal, this DP. The good thing is you guys now have a new Senior Lead Officer coming in 2 weeks. I remind you guys that he doesn't start until August 27th, I believe. So he's still in patrol. He's a training officer. He is, and I'm not going to sit up here and say this just because he's my partner. He's a great officer, hardworking, very knowledgeable, worked many specialized units, and he's just good with talking to people. He's a great person. He's going to come in, and you guys are going to be really impressed by him. I guarantee you. His name is Officer Valoni. I put some new maps back there. It's going to have his email and his phone number. Just remember, he doesn't start until the 27th, I believe. So everything, any questions, comments, concerns, still email me, still text me about it. And I'm looking forward to him getting out there with you guys. I'm going to start with some stats. Violent crimes in the area, in your area, have gone down significantly from 17 to 34 as of from this month to last year this month. Sorry. So basically, we're at 17 for the month of July, and we're at 34 last. So we went down. I'm a little tired. Property crime has gone up, though. So that's basically Grand Theft Auto's leading it. We have seen all over the city, property crime has gone up, especially with the zero bail policy that's come back into play. The zero bail meaning we arrest them, they get back out in about a couple of hours. It is what it is. There's certain things that we can do if we arrest somebody for stealing a car, and then we arrest them a couple of days later, we can try to get bail implemented. So for the most part, zero bail is kicking our butts. We're seeing a lot of repeat offenders, and all I can say is continue to lock your cars, continue to, see something, report it, text us, call us, file these reports. So especially with these theft suspects, if we continue to have multiple reports on these guys, we can actually file for higher charges, and we can actually try to keep them locked up. Harbor in general is number 2 in the city for violent crime reduction, so that's a good thing. We have had a couple of homicides. There was one in Central. It was all gang related. It was right in the middle of downtown San Pedro, but it wasn't random. The suspects saw their guy, they knew who they wanted, and they got him. So we have had a lot of extra patrol, a lot of overtime, a lot of tours from CD15. So we've been doing a lot of crime suppression. So even though our numbers are down, our overtime crime suppression has been up, and we've been having more officers out in the street because of the crime suppression overtimes that we've had. And they've actually made a difference because South Bureau in total has 58 homicides year to date. We only have 2. So that's a good thing. I want to remind you, when it comes to abandoned vehicles, when it comes to RVs, we still have to give significant warnings before we can tow, things of that nature. So we still want to get out there. I do say contact DOT first. The number that I have, I use it all the time. They get advice because I'm not used to the parking enforcement. So now I call them for a lot of parking codes. They always answer me. And I'm calling from my regular phone, so I know they're going to answer. It's 213-485-6909. Once again, 213-485-6909. That's for South Bureau. Try to hold them accountable, and then if they don't come out, then reach out to us. You can do it hand in hand, but make sure we still hold them accountable as well, because that's their primary function. Also, I want to talk about a notable arrest. We have 2 young officers who are still very proactive. And in this day and age, a lot of people, are worried about being proactive because they don't want to get in trouble. But these 2 young officers that are assigned to Northwest cars, they actually are still out doing extra patrol when they're not going to radio calls. So on on the August 9th. They're driving around and they observed a vehicle, a Chevy that is, highly stolen vehicle. They did a wanted warrant search on the vehicle and determined that it had expired registration. When they conducted a traffic stop, as they walked up, they saw that the steering column had been damaged. From their training experience, they realized that it could possibly be stolen. Took the suspect out, and they determined that the vehicle was stolen, and they found a bunch of shaved vehicle keys, over 20, and he had a long rap sheet of GTA, which is Grand Theft Auto. So it's good that they are still out there. They're still looking to be proactive, and they're still doing a good thing. And the reason why it's important for these officers to get guns off the street, these suspects off the street, because it makes our homicides go down and makes our GTAs go down, even though we're still trying to make that happen. A couple of events that are coming up is Conquer the Bridge on September 4th. And we have the Legends Car Show, which is going to be August 26th over there at Point Furman. So just a little update. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Now would be the time if anyone has questions. I see two hands up. So Melanie and then Gwen.
Okay. So I don't know if the sergeant's aware of my email that I sent to the captain about problems of patrols when they come out. They either stay in the car and say they don't see anything, or we had a woman that was very, mentally, there was something definitely wrong, and I didn't want to make the medical judgment when I called it in because I'm not a medical professional. And I told the radio people that she was very distressed over there. The cop, I watched him on my cameras. He got out, not even 1 minute, 2 minutes, walked up to her and turned around and got back in his car and left. That's not okay. And I expressed my disappointment to the captain about it. And he said that he was going to address that with the patrols. The other thing is there's been a lot of complaints in the area of patrols coming out and requesting patrols and them not following through with doing anything. There's one girl that's distraught over on Westmont because his car is over there with the doors wide open. All the children's toys are hanging out. The car's parked sideways, like it's either been abandoned or it was stolen and left. She called LAPD and nobody came. They said that it wasn't something that they handled to call abandoned vehicles. Abandoned vehicles has not been out. She contacted me all distressed about it, about what to do. And I said, call LAPD back. And she says, they told me they will not come. And I says, I'll address it tonight. But it's over on Westmont.
Okay.
So in regards to the eval and the officers at the park, that was addressed. It was brought up to all the watch commanders. Those two officers were spoken to. If you feel that we're not doing our job, I ask that you please, if you saw that, call back and request a supervisor to show up.
So you would call the dispatch again?
Call back again, or if you have the phone number to our front desk, ask to speak to the watch commander, tell them that you generated a radio call and that you want a supervisor out there. Get us out there. Okay. Hold us accountable. Don't wait, I'm not telling you what to do, but at that point in time, hold us accountable, and you have every right to good service. And if you don't agree with the service that you got, call us out there that day and have a supervisor go out there and talk directly to a supervisor to nip it in the butt right there and then.
Okay.
Please do that. Hold us accountable. Because it's harder, as days go by, it's harder to kind of figure it out. We'd rather take care of it that day and nip it in the butt right there and then. The second part was
the car, why nobody's addressing it, especially where it's not sitting there like an abandoned car. It's parked weird. It's halfway in the street.
What's the description of that car?
Huh?
What kind of car was that, or do you know?
I've got a picture. I can bring it to you after.
Is it a red car?
It's a blue car.
Okay.
And it's parked cockeyed, but the doors are wide open. The glove box is wide open.
Again, on that, call that lady back and tell her to ask for a supervisor. We don't want that to take a couple of days to fix. We want to fix it as a supervisor. I want that fixed that day, that night. So anybody has an issue with our service, please call back that same day and ask for a supervisor to come out. We can't deny you a supervisor.
Let me ask you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Was it called dispatch, or did dispatch tell you we're not sending LAPD officers?
Dispatch
Okay.
said.
So
See, that's a problem too, because they're making decisions at dispatch before.
Well, dispatchers have supervisors as well. If you're not happy with their service at dispatch, there is supervisors there.
Oh, I know.
So we'd rather have that nipped in the butt right there and then than wait a couple of days and then the captain gets a hold of me and then I got to find. We'd rather get a supervisor there right now and fix that problem right then and then.
Okay.
So give us that opportunity to fix it there for you.
All right.
also, I have one more thing for you, Melody. So also, when I was working patrol, a lot of times you have some anonymous phone calls, which is all right. If you want to remain anonymous, that's all right. But sometimes we definitely need PRs. We need people to tell us exactly what happened. What I've noticed works the best is if you whenever you have officers respond, you can always request for officers to give you a call upon completion.
I
of the
do.
call.
I always give my name and number. These last two officers had my name and number and chose not to call me.
And you said, I would like them to, you specifically say, I would like officers.
Yes, I do every time. And I take the incident number down and these last two times, they have not called me back.
Okay. And then, so at that point, make sure you, like you said, make sure you contact us back.
I always
say,
do
hey,
that.
I know you. Okay. Just making sure.
Gwen?
Hi. I think this again is revisiting the garden area. And it is difficult because jurisdiction is so spotty. Of course, the port, that railway access, and there is a lot of activity over there that would be great to report, but it does move into the garden. I'm wondering, do you guys all have any jurisdiction over the Department of Sanitation site? Is that considered a part that could be patrolled, for example, even a drive-through? Because it's one of these areas that there's been some really crazy things happening up there as far as trashing, actually breaking into people's gardens just to destroy them.
You talk about and what particular address is this? Or
This is the Department of Sanitation on Gaffey, just across the street from the DMV.
So that kind of falls under sanitation, and general services usually patrols that area. But the only reason we would go up there is there is a gas station up there. So if our gas station at the station is broken down, that's when we go and fuel our cars up next to the stack that says sanitation.
Right.
So for us to be out there, we have generate the radio call, and they'll dispatch. They usually dispatch general services security first, but then if they can't respond, we're having a hard time with general services. They're the ones that are supposed to close the parks down because we don't have park rangers. And honestly, they're really understaffed. Last I heard, they had 27 officers to close all the city parks in the whole city of LA. So to be honest with you, I've had that fight because some of our parks are not being closed, and that falls on us. They have a list of to-do that shall be closed every night, and they have to get to that list before they can get to, honestly, Harbor and West LA. I think they kind of drop certain areas depending on the officers they have working. There's times they only have 3 officers working to close all the city facilities, and that's a battle that I've been fighting with them. But they tell me we don't have the numbers, and if we don't have the numbers, then we have to figure it out on our own because they don't have park rangers, and because General Services is losing a lot of their employees, honestly, to DWP. So we're working on that, and we're aware of that. Generate the radio call. Call us for that extra patrol, or if you see anything at the gardens.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll dispatch it to us. We kind of can't be in there unless we're kind of called in there, kind of thing.
So once again, who do we call again?
General Services, or just call the non-emergency number. Give them the address of the gardens, and if they don't dispatch General Services or they don't have a unit out, then it gets thrown to us, and then we can take care of it.
Okay. And
And General Services has sworn officers and has security officers, but most of the time they'll send out those security officers to come out. But again, if they don't have anybody and the call can't be dropped, so then it gets generated to us.
so you guys know about the Department of Sanitation catalytic converters that are kind of more connected with them that have been stolen.
Yes, up on the lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
But
it was
they-
connected.
They're supposed to have a security guard right at that gate.
Exactly.
And they're supposed to have security 24/7.
Exactly. And
So that's an issue that we can bring up to them, and our detectives will work with them because that's a number for us. That's a theft number for us. So we don't want to keep happening. So we're working with them to come up with a solution.
Yeah,
but that security guard is technically in charge of that road right there.
right, and that's the vulnerability is that what the activity that occurred with the catalytic converters, it was simultaneous that this other stuff was happening. You know.
So I can get back with you. I'll work on some kind of solution there.
Okay.
And see what kind of vibe or what kind of answers I get from
Thank
them.
you.
But I'll get back to you. on
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I actually I need some direction, if you would. Right there where Park Western tees in with Channel and via Cordova, then you go either down Channel or whatever. I only know this because I walk that area twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon. It seems like we have a problem with people who just blow stop signs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, terribly just blowing stop signs. So I was, and I'm speaking for that because I can speak directly about it, but I've heard it from other people within San Pedro that the walking of, there seems to be a lack of maybe enforcement, with the stop signs and things like that. I'm wondering, how we might be able to get maybe some enforcement, or how can we get maybe a more focused concentration? Because I'm standing there waiting to cross, and there's these guys that are coming by and they're waving at me, see you later. So anyway, nothing will, I'm not looking for a solution now, but if there's something I can do, as a resident of that community. But like I said, I think it's just something that seems to be more pervasive now that I'm hearing more and more about it as we talk about it with our neighbors and the adjoining communities. So anyway.
So basically, I have family that lives in the Garden, right? And so I spend a lot of time over there, and I'm always driving that road, going that way to go to Chipotle. So when I'm in my police car, people, they don't stop, but you can tell that. They stop, but you can tell that they wouldn't stop if it wasn't for me. When I'm driving there in my personal vehicle, they run it in front of me all the time. Yeah. What I recommend, whenever I see, I try to do enforcement on that road, but I'm getting requests all over San Pedro, but it's still important, right? So what I would recommend is you keep sending emails about a specific stop sign. So one, we can try to get traffic to come down and do a task force at that particular location, or your senior lead officer could possibly do enforcement there, or we can go in the roll calls and talk to the basic cars to do enforcement there. We also have an EL car, which is basically all he's doing for our department, for our division, is conducting traffic stops for speeding and for stop signs. So we can get him placed there too. Send an email, follow up with the email, so we can do some enforcement. But that's my direct advice to you. Okay. Make sure it's known. Make sure not only do you send that first email, but send a follow up email. Okay? Because like me, I'm learning how to be organized. When I got in this position, I didn't know what organization was before. So sometimes I forget. Sometimes I need a reminder. It's not because we're trying to blow you off. It's because we got to get our stuff together. So send a follow up, sure, and we can try to make it happen.
So, sir, because we need those emails. The reason we ask, because that's how we show, hey, look how important it is to the community. If I go in with one email compared to like 20, 30 emails, I'm able to pull those resources. That EL card, I can say, hey, dude, look, I got 30 emails on this intersection. This is why I need you to spend some time there. So that's why we're asking for those additional emails.
Okay.
So that's our case to pull those resources. And that's what we use. We use community members calling us and telling us. We do a list of say that area. If I got 50 people calling on it, it's easy for me to justify call south traffic and tell them, hey, can you put a motor here? Hey, Captain, can I move that EL car to this intersection for the day? That helps us.
Yeah.
And it helps the slows. Send those emails to the slows. And when we have our meetings, hey, what do you need? Hey, I need a motor cop. I need the traffic enforcement guy at this intersection because look at all the stuff I'm getting from the community and look at all the concerns. Yeah. It's easier for us to sell it.
Send them to your slows. Send them to me. Send them to the captain.
Okay. Send them to me.
Okay.
Send them to me, send them to the slow. That way we can justify when I go to my meetings and the slows come to me, I can start, we kind of have to fight for our resources.
Sure.
And we have to show why. So that helps us in our battle to get those resources.
Got it. Thank you so much. Adam.
Real quick, I wanted to thank both of you guys for being super responsive and super proactive because I've had concerns about things that I've asked here, and even when I've seen you in community or whether you came to me directly at the church, both of you guys have been very good at follow-up and taking care of the things that we asked you for here in the community. So I really did wanted to express my thanks and the thanks from our committee for all the work that you do.
Thank you, sir.
And I saw Vic's hand go up.
Until the new slow takes over, you would be the one to email?
Yes, Sarge wants to take a lot off my plate because I have a lot on my plate, but no, I want you to email me first, okay? Email me first, and then if I can't get to it, we will get the other slows to help out, or maybe Sarge, but I want you to email me first.
If we send an email, should we expect some kind of response to the email or just...
Absolutely.
Someone will say, "Hey, thanks for the email," whatever.
No, absolutely. If you send me an email, I respond. If I didn't respond, it's because I messed up. Ultimately.
Kelly.
I'm sorry. I'm
it's okay.
Half a brain today.
I'm right there with you, tired. School began today, and
Kelly, talk in the mic.
Sorry. School began today, and I'm the school representative for 7th Street, and we have a really serious issue with our 7th Street and can't think of the name of the street. It's right above Weymouth. They blow through it. They come down from Western and blow right through it. I sat there one day, and there was like 6 cars going 50, 60 miles an hour blowing right through it. We had one assistant hit a couple of years ago right there, but we don't have a crossing guard anymore. And we're trying to get a crossing guard. We've been trying to get a crossing guard. We haven't had one since COVID, since we came back from COVID. And it's ridiculous. I mean, it's really bad. So I will start doing emails. I will have parents start emailing and stuff. But if we could just have, if a police officer comes and just there, it stops it for maybe about 3 or 4 days. But at least that's 3 or 4 days that we don't have to worry about our kids. Because I work with special needs kids, and they run out in the street. We had a kid today almost get hit, and it's sad. It's just really, really scary.
Let me ask you, how's your relationship with school police? Do you have?
What are they? I'm sorry. We've had school police. I've had to call school police trying to get a pet team because I've had a child in crisis, and it's horrible. We called. I have to say, we called you guys a couple of years, not last year, the year before. We called you because we had a child who was trying to kill himself off the top of a step thing, and you guys came and responded and took care of everything. I don't even want to call school police. It's ridiculous.
Well, let us know that in your emails that you haven't exhausted your attempts to school police, and send it to the slow and CC me as well.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys can patrol the schools a little bit right now, well, because people are, the drop off and the pickup, it's horrible. So thank you. I do appreciate everything you guys do. I know it's a tough job, and I know there's a lot of things. I have to protect our kids.
No, absolutely.
That's my job.
Absolutely. And since I've been at Harbor, whenever school starts back, they always, in roll calls, they always say, hey, you guys have some time, get out there at the start of school and just make sure people are slowing down, because we have this complaint all over the city. I have the complaint in front of my kids' school. I have elementary age kids, and I hate it. I get so upset when I see somebody drop their kids off and then speed away, because they would be upset if somebody sped past their kids. So I will send the email, but I will try to get over and do extra, be there to show my face, and I'll try to have other people get there to show their face.
Please, that would be great. I live by Leland, and they blow through Walker
Yes,
and Leland like crazy too. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm leaving for work, and people are blowing through these things, and there's kids out there. I get to work before 7:00, and there's kids out there, and these guys are just speeding right by. So I know it's not just my school.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's rampant.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you.
Anyone from the audience would like to ask a question?
I was just going to say that I'm on Leland, and the school buses, because they come from the high school, are running the stop sign in front of my house. So, do you want me to call?
Yes.
You can do that, but I need you to also call the
LAUSD.
Yeah, call them and report that, because it's one thing when somebody does it and they're going to work or something, right? Nobody should run through these stop signs, but nobody with these kids that we have the lives of these kids in there, they shouldn't be running stop signs. So you definitely report them. Try to get the bus number and report them.
Okay, last question from Gwen. And Gwen, please make it quick.
Over at Home Depot, you have an empty unit, which has been over there, I assume to deter crime. Can there be empty units, empty vehicles to be put at some of these intersections to help deter?
So I know when it's all said and done, we have to lobby for decoy cars, is what you call them. So we put it out a month in advance, and then sometimes we can change them because of stats and crime stats that go up and things of that nature. I'm not 100% sure if they put decoy cars at intersections, but I can look into it and I can get back to you on that. I know they like to put them in problem locations like Home Depots, like the Walmarts, things of that nature. I don't know about the intersections.
All right. I think we really took up a lot of your time. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Like Adam had said, we really appreciate the work that you guys do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That takes care of, our city council member showed up. I don't know if he would like to say a thing or two, or...
I'm sure Amanda said it all. I just had wow, that's loud. Tim McCosker, Councilman of the 1-5. Really, truly, I just had a dinner that was canceled kind of the last minute. So I made a couple stops on the way home, and I just thought I'd come in and listen in. I knew Amanda was here. I knew that she was talking about some of our priorities and things that we're working on. But it's always good for me to kind of listen in and hear, especially the public safety report. I do want to tell Melanie I had a chance personally I had a little extra time in my schedule to walk Target, and I took my own personal video just to be able to share with friends and family, but I know we have that addressed, and it's always good to, you never know when you're going to bump into somebody, and Gwen and I had a couple of conversations out in the hallway. So really, I didn't come for any particular reason other than to listen in, and being at neighborhood council and being with the councils across the 1-5 are always a great way to get a feel of what's happening in the community. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
I needed to get a picture for the newsletter with Dan, so congratulations.
All right. I think that takes care of agenda item number 4. We're going to move on to our consent calendar. We have 2 items on there. Approval of the stakeholder minutes, and then also approve the we were going to have liaison appointments. That was going to be based on what we might have seen at our retreat that did not happen. So we'll have to save that to the next time around. So actually, it's just a matter of approving our minutes. However, did you want to say something, Diana? I saw. Yeah, it's not on here. Is it what? Yeah, I don't have it. It's not on our copy, or at least the copy I have.
That request was never received by us.
You. Okay. Well, then, look, we'll just make sure it gets on there in the next agenda. So, sorry. So we'll go ahead. We got the minutes to take care of, and does anyone want to make a motion?
I motion.
Motion.
I motion we approve the minutes from last meeting. Second.
Any discussion? I don't see any hands, so can we take a vote?
Do we have to do a name vote or just?
No, we're going to be taking the vote right now.
Okay, this is only for the minutes?
The minutes.
Okay, also for the record, Angela Sumner arrived as a board member at 6:37 p.m. and assuming Thomas Norman arrived just now, you can mark that as 7:19 p.m. Okay, that works for me. Okay, so for the consent calendar, item A only, Cole Ariola Card.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Ben Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
And that is it.
Okay. All right, that takes care of agenda item number 5. We're going to move on to 6, and that's Budget and Finance Committee. Melanie, you have some.
Okay. So this is going to be really easy. First of all, the MER is not out of committee because it wasn't ready. So that being said, we bought the laptop, which is right there. We bought the new projector, which is right there being used, and the printers at Christina's. So all the new equipment has been purchased. The laptop has Microsoft Office on it, which when I went to Geek Squad, they gave me free, clearing it out, all the junk on it, as well as they informed me that it doesn't come, which I forgot, computers now don't come with Microsoft Office on them. And I'm like, uh-oh. So we have a budget in our budget for office supplies. So I purchased the Microsoft Office under office supplies and then had them install it on there so it's good to go. And so we're all set. And so you see over here in expenses where we Best Buy, all of that for all the equipment. And then we paid Cheryl. Cheryl's caught up to date. Yeah, I paid you they approved it for your at work was paid. And so were the 3 months. You should be getting a check. So your back pay. So we're all set with that. So that leaves us $27,799.35. And so I need someone to motion this.
So moved.
Second.
So who moved?
Gwen. So moved.
Okay. And Thomas second. And any further discussion?
Quick question. Microsoft Office, will that be an annual
No,
membership?
I bought the whole
Wow.
thing. I wasn't going to have the credit card on file to have them keep charging it and all of that.
Thank you.
So yeah, it was $149.99, something like that.
That's typically what it is.
Yeah. So And so call for the vote. So Thomas Norman.
Aye.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Victor.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Gwen.
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly.
Yes.
And then that's it. Next is the budget, and this is out of committee. And it's on page 16, backside. And as you see, 27,79935. So you see expenses here, all the audio expenses. And then we've got I purchased like the books and stuff, and those will show up on the next one. But all of our retreat books and all that are purchased. Even though retreat was canceled, we still have the books ready to go. So I got all those copies done and everything, all those put together for when we have retreat. But again, this is out of committee. So any discussion? We'll call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John?
Yes.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Gwen?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Alrighty. And then the next is, let's see, where's the receipt? Did she not put it in here? Where is it? Okay. Why isn't it in here? Well, there is a receipt, and I don't see it in the packet, but Ray paid for 28.22 for the sodas this last meeting, and we're still using them for this meeting. So this is a motion to reimburse Ray for the 28.22 he paid for sodas. He ran out and got them for me on an errand. So this is out of committee. So any discussion?
Just say for the record, I think it's clear enough in item 6A3 exactly what.
It just, for some reason, Christina didn't put it in the packet. Everybody saw it at the budget and finance, the receipt meeting, at the meeting, so. So are we good? Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Yes.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
I'll abstain.
Abstain? Okay. Cole?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Gwen? Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
And that's it. And we're all done with budget and finance. Uh-huh.
My
What?
training's expired.
Yeah, she's no votey, ineligible. Her and Ben. What? She can vote on other stuff, but not finance. Finance, if she doesn't do the ethics or finance, she's like out.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
60 days.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. We're going to move on to planning and land use. Diana?
Good evening again. We have 3 items from planning and land use that are action items. The first one has to do with Rancho San Pedro, and it's on page 52 of your agenda packet. As many of you know, Rancho San Pedro is in the midst of a major project that would ultimately demolish all of the existing 478 units and replace them with 1,553 new units. They're also planning to acquire the property at 327 North Harbor, where they would construct an additional 47 units. So the total project would result in 1,600 new units, an increase of 1,122 units. The construction would be done in phases, so that as they did one phase, they would move the people in that area into the units that they're building on North Harbor. And then when the construction was done, they'd move them back, and a new set of people would be moved, and there would be more construction done. All of the existing residents would be guaranteed the right to return. The new units would be primarily income-restricted apartments, but they're also proposing 48 market-rate apartments and 77 condos that would be for sale that are both income-restricted and market-rate. They're submitting a specific plan that will specify the details of the development and override the existing zoning. Recently, they released a draft EIR for comment. Comments are actually due next week. They were originally due earlier, but this council asked for an extension and it was granted so that we would have time to comment. In addition to analyzing the environmental impacts of this project, the EIR, as required by law, analyzed the impacts of 12 additional nearby projects. It's considered the cumulative impact. So when those projects were taken into consideration, they estimated that there would be an increase of about 6,500 residents. The Planning and the Land Use Committee looked at portions of the EIR. Unfortunately, we didn't have the people power to review it completely. What you have before you tonight is the comments we developed on the sections involving schools, libraries, water, power, and the archaeological and paleontological resources. There's one general comment regarding the formula that's used to determine the average household size. This impacts many of the sections of the EIR. The comment is that they should be using the average household size for Rancho San Pedro rather than the one they used, which was for all of San Pedro. So the average household size for San Pedro is 2.4 persons, but that for Rancho San Pedro is 3.0 persons. There's a technical correction in that paragraph because there's a phrase in there that doesn't belong, but will be taken out in the final. With regards to the schools, the draft EIR indicates that both Barton Hill and San Pedro would be over capacity as a result of this project. And when the additional 12 nearby projects are added in, Barton Hill would need to more than double its current capacity, while San Pedro High would be 444 students over capacity. Our comments also point out that the student generation rate that they use was that for all of San Pedro. Well, again, the student generation rate for Rancho San Pedro is much higher, which would result in even a higher discrepancy in terms of the over number of students compared to the capacity. So the EIR, as is allowed by law, relies on payment of the student generation fee as sufficient mitigation and claims that no new schools are needed. And we question this, and we also raise some concerns about other impacts of the increased number of students. With regards to libraries, we suggest that they develop a satellite library on site with room for a story time and study hall and or plan for regular transportation to the existing library. With regard to water, while the existing standards indicate there's sufficient water for growth, we're concerned that in light of the 473 additional housing units the city needs to plan for, that the applicant should ask DWP how they plan to address future water needs. With regard to power, we suggest that the project should be required to provide solar energy to the extent feasible. And then the last sections are on archaeological and paleontological resources that Alan Franz wrote. These sections question their use of the phrase less than significant impacts, given the known existence of both types of resources in the general area. The comments also request more specificity on the qualifications of the individuals to be employed to monitor these two areas. So as I said, the comments are due next Monday. Once the lead agency receives all the comments, that's HACLA, they will prepare a final EIR in which they must respond to all comments. They will also bring forward a specific plan for approval. At that time, we will be able to comment on the specific plan and may incorporate many of these same comments as appropriate. This is out of committee by a vote of 6-0. So questions?
Any questions? Okay, we'll go the table first. Go ahead, Melanie, and then we'll get Lori.
So, I'm looking at your paperwork, Diana. What council file is it for me to file this?
This one isn't a council file.
Oh, it isn't a CIS?
No, this is an email that goes directly to the EIR
Okay,
email
I was
address.
like,
You don't need to file this one.
I'm looking at it because I thought you said a CIS.
It's the next one.
It's the next one. Okay. Thank you.
Lori?
You know, all we could comment on is what they actually said in the EIR. We're not even sure if they considered the possible expansion at John O'Gean campus. We don't know. They gave us what was the capacity and then what they estimated. What they estimated was 444 students over what they say in the EIR is the capacity, which they got from LAUSD. Well, it's more than double the capacity of Barton Hill now. That's huge. They were considered, but by law, the payment of the fee is considered sufficient mitigation. We're saying, well, that may be true, but it really isn't sufficient mitigation, and here's why it's not sufficient, and here's what we think you should do about it. Kelly?
Did they take into account POLA and some of the other schools? Because there is a permit program within LA Unified where you could get a permit to go to any school that you would like within the city.
Right. They do make a statement in the
provide
IR.
transportation.
They make a statement that we also commented on, that there may be capacity at other nearby schools, but they don't look at what the current capacity is of those other nearby schools and whether or not they are also at capacity. And we don't know the end. They didn't give that information. We said in the final EIR, they should also include that in their analysis.
They're not at capacity. They're very below capacity.
Right.
So that would be a
Yeah, it's something
part of it.
It's something we said they should look at in the final EIR.
Right.
Gwen?
Two things. The inventory of trees that exist on the site, I unfortunately was unable to observe them and see the shade value of them. But from what I understand, a good portion of them are going to be torn down, pulled up. I believe there's only one native species tree of the group, but the shade value is very valuable. Did they say whether they are going to correspond?
Alan did extensive comments on the arborist report, but those go with the specific plan. So we will submit those at the time that we submit comments on the specific plan.
And what doesn't apply to this is when I did go to the Rancho San Pedro feedback where the community was discussing, and most of their issues were actually about the transition and the building and the construction. For example, they are going to be providing e-bikes over there during the construction, and that already is a dangerous situation.
They already have the bikes there.
Yeah, they already have them, and
but they're not being used right now. I mean, they're available for use, but the residents aren't.
Yeah,
taking advantage of them. They also have a shared cars.
Right. But with that, this DIR has nothing to do with that. But
no.
Is there any place where to make those comments about the actual transition? Because the VTB bridge and the waterfront development and all of these things are going to very much impact the community during the transition and the phases of building. Is there any opportunity for comment?
It sounds, from what I missed part of what you're saying, but what you're saying, I think it's comments we might want to make on the specific plan, not the EIR.
Yeah, it would be on the process of the phases being built and the development and the trucks sorry, is this better?
No, I'm just keep going. I'm having trouble following what you're saying.
I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity for comment on the actual concerns that the
that the community had on while it's being built, traffic, safety with the trucks and the development. You know, if they have a bike that's going to go through, are they going to be safe? But the consequence of all the other.
I think the appropriate time to make those will probably be at the time we comment on the specific plan.
Thank you.
Tom.
Just a quick question or a comment to thank your committee for the work and the attention, particularly on the needs and demands in the libraries and the schools. I think your estimates are more in line with community needs. I'm very pro, development, but reasonable development that doesn't tax us. I was late for our meeting today trying to make sure San Pedro gets its share of 1,485 laptops and 700, Wi-Fi spots because there aren't enough at the libraries and the schools are already taxed. So just want to appreciate your efforts here and offer my support for your work.
Thank you. Melanie?
Okay.
Do you know, like, when they build or rebuild RSP area, when they rebuild it after they vacate everybody out and then they rebuild it, there was talk way back that anybody going back in there for Section 8 would have to reapply. They would be re-verified to be in there, because I know there's been a lot of from speculation and things that have been said that there's a lot of people that are living there that aren't supposed to be. Like, they were living with grandma passed away, and they're there and they don't qualify to live there.
They do re-verification every year, and would be no different than that.
What?
They do re-verification every year, and this would be no different than that. Yeah, they would have to re-verify, but they do that every year.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on. Any comment from the audience? None? Okay. We can go for the vote.
Hey, Cole Ariola Carr.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Aye.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Aye.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Ben Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regaletto.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
11 ayes. It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item has to do with a proposed ordinance relating to signs. And we just thank the councilman for getting rid of the sign at the end of Gappy. These are digital signs. And what's being proposed is that Metro wants to place digital signs on property that they own with only an administrative clearance being required. So they want to create transit communication networks, which would be districts where they could put these signs up without basically any review, and they could just do it. As drafted, there'd be a maximum of 49 new digital signs, most of which would be along the freeways, but about 16 of them would not be on the freeways. The proposed ordinance is very specific about the locations, and none of them are in San Pedro. However, we would still be impacted as we drive throughout Los Angeles. Additionally, there's a lot of concern that the proposed ordinance will give billboard companies the openings they need to successfully end the ban on new billboards that's been in place since 2002. I should tell you it's on page 52 of your agenda packet. We have both a proposed CIS and proposed comments that would be attached to the CIS and would also go as a letter to our council member. The proposed CIS basically says that the Northwest Neighborhood Council opposes these ordinances. As proposed, the transit communication networks are really about advertising, not about improving public safety. According to Metro, 7 out of 8 of the digital images would actually show advertising. So adoption of these ordinances would create safety hazards and visual blight, undermine the city's sign ordinance, create years of litigation, and override community planning documents. Could result in inappropriate content for our children, which we previously saw at the end of the freeway here, and we're told that nothing could be done about it because of free speech. Inappropriate collection of personal data. There's been inadequate analysis of the impacts and inadequate opportunity for public input. The proposed comments are basically the same things I just read, only spelled out with a lot more detail. So with that.
Any comment on around the table? Gwen?
Question or comment?
Well, question or comment?
So can you elaborate on what digital billboards that they are capturing personal data from passersby? How does that work?
I don't understand how that works, but I've read it over and over again that there's concerns about it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Thank you. Thank you.
Cole?
Yeah, real quick question. Was there any indication that there would be a additional proliferation of these districts elsewhere across? Sorry, I'll repeat. Sorry about that. Was there any indication that there would be any kind of appetite to expand the proliferation of these districts and where they can do that across wherever they would have their jurisdiction to do so? Is there a plan to continue to put more districts out there, more sign spaces?
More than these?
In the future? Or was that any indication?
Not with this ordinance. It would have to be amended.
Sure.
But, once you open the door to it,
right,
you don't know what else will come. There are sign districts now.
Yeah.
But they're not for digital billboards.
Thank you.
And as I said, there's been a lot of concern that this would open the door, and then it would open the door to some lawsuits. The current ordinance has controlled billboards pretty well.
Okay. Yeah. No other questions around the table? Dan, you're up.
Just a minor point. I mentioned that they're not planning for San Pedro. And of course, that's because there are no metro stations.
Ding, 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 ding.
Absolutely.
Well, what gets me was when Metro said that 7 out of the 8 ordinances would be advertising. That was like, okay.
Okay. Then I guess we can now go for the vote.
Okay, Cole Ario-Wakar.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Aye.
Melanie LaBrade.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Ben Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regaletto.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Abstain.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Okay. 10 ayes, 1 abstention. That carries.
Thank you. The last one is pretty easy, I think. It's some comments on the LA County bicycle plan. The comments were actually already due, but the nature of our comments are more general. There's 3 basic comments. The first one is that we've asked that in the future that they show a plan that actually shows not just what LA County is proposing, but what's already there in the other jurisdictions, because one of the problems in looking at the plan is the connectivity. And so we looked at Western Avenue. Well, Western Avenue isn't part of the county's plan, but we don't know what's there. So so that's the first comment. Second comment regards the resurfacing of the Vincent Thomas Bridge. And we're asking that the county advocate for the inclusion of a walking bicycle pathway that connects to the new one that is on the new Long Beach International Gateway. And the third one is to ask that the county work with the state to develop a statewide bicycle plan. Again, the problem with the plans is that they don't cross jurisdictional lines, and we were told by a bicycle rider that when one jurisdiction ends, another starts. There's always a problem. So to ask for some kind of a statewide plan. That's it.
Okay, we'll open up to discussion. Gwen?
Actually, regarding funding to support this, it's actually something that's coming up later on the agenda, but when State Bill SB 1122 passed, and that was regarding the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy purchasing land and restoring the rivers and restoring the waterways and the channels. One thing that we could possibly get here in the 1.5 is to request that the areas that are around, just like this bicycle pathway that goes to Long Beach, could be part of the use of the funding for this to try to incorporate bikeways and thoroughways in naturalized areas. So I'm hoping, when we get to that there are, and Measure W, and there's a bunch of other funding possibilities to suggest. Yeah.
Any other comments around the table? Seeing no hands. Any comments or questions from the audience? Seeing no hands, can we ask for the vote?
Okay, call Ariel LaCar.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Ben Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
It's 11 ayes, unanimous.
Thank you.
Diana, this isn't a CIS either, right? This isn't.
No, it isn't
okay.
either.
All right.
It's just that middle one that is.
Thank you, Diana. Okay, we'll move on to Port and Sustainability Committee. Mr. Norman or Ms. Henry?
Yeah. So we have two items out of committee. The first one is a CIS. It's on page 56. It's a very simple one. So our own council member, Tim McOsker, had authored a motion. That would be Council File 21-1208S2. And that is just in advocating for the promotion of zero waste events and facilities on city property. So you guys all know that I promote heavily the action on compost bins, but it is there's a lot of great information out there that needs to be a buy-in by the citizens of Los Angeles. And so this is simply to support more education and make more awareness and try to get a buy-in on our city to start working and be, changing the culture towards zero waste. So we approved this, and we'd like to bring it towards you.
Any questions from around the table? None. Any comments or questions out in the audience?
Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Okay, let's go for the vote.
Okay, call Ariel LaCar.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Aye.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Aye.
Kelly Miller.
Aye.
Ben Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous with 11.
Great. Next.
So this is actually a letter to our council member, Tim McOsker. And this was what I just referred to regarding State Bill SB 1122. So let me give you a little background. So 4 years and years back, Patrick O'Donnell, our former California State Assembly member, had continued to put forward a request to include this area, and there's a map in your packet there of an area that would be incorporated in the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy area for restoring waterways and creating parks and open space in relation to the watersheds. And that includes the Dominguez Channel. There are other watersheds that are here in Northwest, which are mentioned in this letter. But so it passed. Finally, after 4 years, Senator Van Allen picked up the banner, and it actually passed. And we've been supporting this. Our neighborhood council has been supporting each of these efforts every time when the city of Los Angeles has put in a motion to support the state bills. So this time it passed in December 22, and at this very moment, the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy is actually going out and reaching out to stakeholders to find out what they want
But I don't believe that they've actually reached out to the 1-5. That the city of Los Angeles has not been reached out to by the Rivers and Mountain Conservancy. So this is actually a mention from Northwest, and I hope that the rest of the neighborhood councils will also, discuss their wants and needs. But one of the things that actually could benefit is these bikeways. There's actually a channel that runs from George F. Canyon, comes down underneath Green Acres or Green, the cemetery, and there's a channel there that follows along the community garden and goes out to the harbor. And now that actually parallels that greenway right there. There's a lot of opportunity for building habitat for birds and things like that. But what's happened is that currently, when you go to the site for the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, they're focusing on the Los Angeles River, which is over in Long Beach, over on that side. That's where the initial funding is. There's nothing for any of the stuff that's listed here, Dominguez Channel or anything like that. So I'm hoping that this office can reach out to them and ask. We have stakeholders, and we would like to be part of this process, and we have a lot of good suggestions. Thank you.
Okay. Let's take any questions or comments out around the table. Cole.
Hey, Gwen, real quick question. Is this just to ask for the councilman and city to reach out to the group, or are we asking them to do more than just reach out?
To reach out and create a dialogue where the neighborhood councils, we are stakeholders, we can provide valued input, and other stakeholder groups within the city of Los Angeles, since it doesn't seem to be happening.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
And to respond as the co-chair, and just to make sure that the office was aware the money was there and that we get a shot at getting our money. There were a few projects were located in Peck Park, right? This is definitely a stream that would merit some share. Oftentimes, when there are these programs, certain areas, more privy to where that the money is there, grab it. So I trust our council member now aware that staff will do a good job of at least making a case that we get a reasonable share of the state money.
Any other comments? Okay. Comments from the audience? Ellen.
I would just like to add to what Gwen said. In the 1-5, there are other communities that we will need that are affected by
And the Wilmington Drain is mentioned in our letter. And yeah, we mentioned things in Northwest San Pedro, but it does go all the way up. There's a lot of great opportunities. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot.
Could you speak up more or use a mic, please?
Councilmember Costa.
This letter will be well received. If there's money, I want our share of the money.
And there is other funding that is also mentioned in this that can be utilized in collaboration to enhance the benefit.
Thank you. Any other comments? Let's pass it. I see no hands. Let's call for the vote.
Okay, Colario Licard.
Yes.
John McGraw.
Yes.
Nick Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Aye.
Melanie O'Rourke.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Ben Norman. Yes. Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
11 unanimous once again.
Very good. Thank you for all the work on that one. Both of them, it seems like there was a lot of thought and good stuff coming out of you guys. So thank you very much, all of you. So let's go ahead and go to agenda item number 7, of which the president's meeting was canceled this month. So there is no report. I'm happy to report. Okay, committee reports. Let's try to get them down as quick as we can. We have not had a report from the ad hoc committee for our agenda evaluation.
And Craig's not here, so.
I realize. So I'm wondering if there's anyone else that might have.
I'm on it, and so is Adam, but we haven't had a meeting recently either.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll move on. Budget and Finance Committee, Melanie?
The report is what we did tonight. Budget Advocate Report. There is no current one at this time. Is there? I didn't get it.
So, a lot of stuff about the budget was way over my head, and probably a lot of yours too. And the critical thing on the budget advocate report is that we still have one budget advocate vacancy for Region 12.
Right.
Which one I'm with, and what we're really pushing is you don't have to be a board member to be a budget rep and a hospital. You can be a stakeholder. Please. You know, as a budget rep, you don't have to necessarily do a lot of participation. You can do little participation, but it's fascinating. You get access to city departments that you would never get.
Right. And I've got feelers out to Harbor Gateway South, Harbor Gateway North, and Wilmington to see if we can get somebody from them versus just all from San Pedro. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's move on to Public Safety.
And Public Safety, there was no meeting
Okay.
due to illness. Huh. And CPAB I couldn't go to because it was either that or my MRI. And I tried to get a hold of Craig to fill in, and he couldn't go, so.
Executive Committee, essentially the Executive Committee is, if the report from them is right in front of you. It's the agenda. We were very successful in producing an agenda for you all today, so thank you very much. So we'll move on to the Bylaws and Elections Committee, and we did not meet on that one, so I'm very happy to report that there is no report. The Youth and Outreach Committee, Chris Valle is the one. Was there a meeting? No? Okay, so no report. Planning and Land Use.
Just a couple of quick things that go beyond the written report. We've received a request for a lot split at 1129 and 1133 North Myler, and I've added that to the planning page on our website if anyone is interested in looking at that proposed lot split. The storage facility that was proposed on Miraflores is now up for sale. There was the owners tried to get the port to acquire it to put containers on. Thank goodness the port refused to do that, but it is up for sale. We don't know what will happen to that. And then there's a mistake in the minutes where it talks about the storefronts in the Topaz property. It should say that they are now they are actually up for rent. The plan that has LA, the plan that would require the city to create 473,000 new units. We're going to be meeting with the council office about that. And then the last thing is that the connectivity plan it was a little bit delayed and it's coming out. They've extended the contract till the end of December, so it'll be a while now before we see that. That's it.
All right, thank you. Community issues, Mr. John. Thank you. Port Environment Sustainability Committee report?
Nothing to really add. We did have a special meeting. We didn't have quorum at the first meeting, but we gratefully had a special meeting with the quorum, and we presented our 2 items before the group, and we will be going dark for the upcoming meeting.
Okay, thank you. Christensen Science Center, Mr. Christensen.
Wow. As some people may have heard, quite literally, there is work being done to is that a word? To make safe the barnyard area of the Science Center where the chickens in particular and the sheep and goats and the other farm animals were, to make way for a safe habitat for some chickens to be reintroduced to the Science Center finally. It has been way too long, and I'm glad this is finally happening. I haven't seen any plans for basically the roof of the barnyard, which is now a bunch of webbing, like fishing net type webbing, but that's not in a shape that would keep out the raccoons and other predators that might come in to get the chickens.
Yeah.
So they're looking for plans for that, but they don't have any to show yet. But if you, in particular, if you live in the area, you may hear the rooster. They're in a holding pen right now, and when I go down there and check out things, he typically crows at me and stuff like that. So it's in the works. Finally, it's been a long time, but it is in the works now. So we'll see how quickly they can get things together. And that's all I've got. Well, one other thing is we're still trying to find somebody who will, from LAUSD, who will call another meeting for the advisory council. We have asked multiple times, and it's always, well, there's COVID, well, there's this, well, there's that, and they never actually schedule it yet. So just like the sergeant said, hold us accountable, email us. Well, that's what I do with LAUSD, and I call it nagging. But I keep trying, I keep asking, and they basically ghost me. So if other people would like to help email them and nag with me, I can give you the email addresses. So it's not just me doing the nagging, and one person is basically like the sergeant said, one message doesn't get a whole lot, but a bunch of messages do, or at least have a better chance to. So let me know, and I can get you the contact information if you need it. Thank you.
Any questions? Of course, Gwen.
I love the Science Center. So I have a question. Are tours being given? Are schools actually going to start? Oh, yeah.
Before COVID, they had a pilot science program with fifth grade classes from, I believe, 5 different schools, including Taper, which is walking distance. After COVID started, they stopped that. They have not restarted it again. That is one of the things that I keep trying to get them to talk to us about at an advisory council meeting. But if they won't have a meeting, they're not going to, tell us about it either. So that is one of the prime things to ask about is when are they going to, restart the pilot science program, and what else are they doing?
Is it part of a budget issue? Has it been, when gaps like that happen, did maybe things drop off because there's no budget? The budget is no longer existing for that, and it has to be all worked in again.
How do I say this nicely? The typical excuse of everything having to do with LAUSD is usually budget. With this, they haven't given a reason. And it's, literally ghosting. Multiple people have emailed and they don't reply. Yeah. So whether it's budget, who knows? Whether it's political, who knows? So it's just, they don't respond. And they never have been, going back to the times of the proposed magnet school there. They didn't tell the community about that until the last minute. And I think the only reason that happened is, not to brag, but I think when I brought it up, they finally decided to have a public forum at Taper And everybody was, well, I won't say everybody, but overwhelmingly the audience there was against it. And a lot of people said, well, we didn't know this was going to happen. When were you guys going to tell us? And the comment I remember hearing from a former board member was that, well, they came to the council meetings here and said stuff. Well, that doesn't reach everybody. That's not, that's one way to do it, but that's not the only way that's going to reach everybody, because as you can see, there are lots of people here. So, once that got out, that got shut down pretty quick. But, they're very poor at communicating. And before I was on the board, I basically called them out on it at one of these meetings.
My last question. Sorry, I mean, dialogue with this. So the STEM curriculum, this is a real opportunity. Have they changed direction on how to teach science education? Because this is a tremendous opportunity to teach core principles in a lot of different things, and I don't know if. Has that been lost in some way, or is there a new direction in LAUSD in how to approach STEM goals?
All I can, not to be rude, but refer to my previous statement, they ghost. We don't know because they don't tell anything. They don't tell us anything. And that's the problem, is they're not saying anything, so we don't know what the problem is.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd like to say that when we first met, right after COVID, we had a representative from the school district here.
We what?
We had a representative from the school district. I think the superintendent, the local superintendent.
Yes, Mike Romero, the then superintendent, was here, and that's when I called them out on it with not communicating, and they're still not
here though when we first came back from COVID. That was before.
Oh no, this was pre-COVID.
But we had somebody.
That was pre-COVID. I'm talking about since COVID. We had the woman that was here.
Yeah, right. She wasn't from LA Unified. She was from Tanya Ward. She was from the school board.
Well, I mean, for us who are,
right,
outsiders, if you will, I mean, she represented the school board.
Yeah.
And so it seems to me that we had her here one shot, and that was it. We haven't seen anyone from LAUSD. So what I'd like to suggest is that we have some communication with LAUSD, whether it be with the superintendent's office or directly to the Christensen Center. I don't know how that works. I know they have staff in that area, at least at the one time that I was out there and I was talking to somebody. It just seemed to be that's the center of local LAUSD decision making for our area. I'd like to be able to say, perhaps maybe we need to reconnect and ask for their participation at these meetings, because, it bothers me when we have people who are interested, and I see your hands. It bothers me when there's definite interest by community, and we represent the community.
Yeah.
But a lack of interest by the agency.
Well, since Vic's
hang on a second, please.
Why not him write a letter?
Please. So, Vic, my question to you was, when you get information, is it information that's flowing to you? I think I know the answer, but I want to make sure. Does it flow to you because of your association with this neighborhood council representing in this ad hoc capacity? Or are you just, and like I said, I think I know the answer, but is it because you were persistently giving them calls or asking them and things like that?
Well, first, the first word of your question was too many letters. Instead of when, you need to say if. I have gotten all of 0 response when I nag.
Okay. Then I completely understand what you're saying.
So, nothing comes, so it's not through either of those channels because nothing comes.
Then I would like to suggest that we maybe direct our community issues committee in along with your efforts to see if there we can develop a strategy as to how we approach LAUSD so that we can get ongoing information back and forth from LAUSD to Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. And then we help them understand what neighborhood councils are all about. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I think a lot of people seem to feel that we talk to the neighborhood council, so we're good, and then they just move on.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the way it works. So I would like to suggest that issues take it up, and look into it in partnership with our ad hoc committee member, and see if we can come up with a strategy. We're not implementing anything with them yet, and we're not talking to them yet. Let's come up with a strategy so that we can strategically approach this to me, a very important asset in our community. It's one of our jewels that we're just not using, or we're just not hearing about. So I'll leave that. I saw a lot of hands. I saw
you
Tom,
got it right. We're not using
Kelly, and then Gwen. And look, we have a very good opportunity to get out of here on time. So can we please keep our comments down to maybe one important one? Okay, please. So Tom.
Thank you. I just wanted to move that our neighborhood council invite an administrator from LAUSD and our school board member to our next or an appropriate meeting. If there's a second, I'll just give the reason for that. In light of your other recommendation, which I support, I would love to see our president just make an invitation, noting their absence. And in light of the huge changes at San Pedro High School, their presence would be very helpful for us.
So moved. Second.
You do that? Vic is on the issue committee with us, so we'll pursue it.
Again, I'm going to go back to the fact I appreciate the movement here, but I think we need to have a strategy that's going to include your motion and everything else, Mr. Norman, so that we can go ahead and make sure that we hit all the bases. Because invitations have been sent out before. They know who we are. They were, by the fact that they were sitting here that one day. The fact that they had come when I believe that particular superintendent, or however they refer to him, was here when he was first appointed. So they know we're here. And I just don't want to be a box that checks off. So what I'd like to do, in light of your motion, Tom, if we can maybe hold off so that we can get that strategy developed so that we can get this thing done, because I think we're going to need more than an invitation, because I don't think it'll be consistent. We want something that's going to be consistent.
You want a monthly visit, or every other month?
Whatever you guys develop. I mean, this is your thing. Whatever you guys want to do. I mean, but I do believe we need somebody here to help us understand what's going on with LAUSD. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I know, Kelly, your arm must be getting tired, but I'm just suggesting that perhaps if we can just hold off on the motion, Tom. I don't want to undermine anything that you're doing, but I know the importance. There's a lot happening that I think we need to.
Well, with all due respect, I'm not inclined to withdraw it. I'm okay if everybody votes against it, but I think it's really, I got it as a simple motion. One sentence: invite LAUSD administration and local board member to the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council meetings in light of a multitude of issues of interest to both, just to encourage them to come more regularly, and then we can specify it. Because what I'm hearing from my colleague is that it takes a lot of calls and a lot of messages to get through. And I call the question, for expediency. I don't think there's.
Okay.
Kelly, you had your hand up.
When you email, since LAUSD got hacked, when you email outside of LAUSD, if it's not coming from an LAUSD employee, it's called our email. It goes. They don't even get it. They don't even get it. It goes like if you sent me an email to my LAUSD email, if you're not a vetted person within my email, I won't even get it. There is a filter that I can go through later to find it. I'm sorry that I missed the very beginning of this, but if you want to contact someone within, I'm assuming you want to talk to Martisich because Martisich's office is at the Science Center.
Well,
Is that who you're trying?
I was thinking more the superintendent, Andre. I can't remember his last name.
Spicer is our new
Spicer.
superintendent for this area. Okay.
Well, both of them actually.
Well, Martisich is our director, and Spicer is the new superintendent of this area. You would have to I mean, let me know what you're trying to contact, and I see Lou on a regular basis, and I can talk to him and say, look, we need da 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 da, and do it a little more informally, and then we can go from there.
Well, Lou has gotten my emails because when there have been issues down there, I have emailed a group of people, him being one, and he's replied to them.
Okay, good.
So I know it gets through to him.
Okay. Spicer, you're probably not going to get through to.
Well, actually, he did once too.
Okay, good. Because what I can do, like, if you let me know what you're trying, and I'm sorry I missed the very beginning of this, but let me know, and I can get you who exactly to talk to, because that's what we do. Tanya Ortiz is a board member who, I don't even want to go there with that.
Okay.
But anyway, and in answer to the science, not all schools are STEM. We use Next Generation Science. If you look up Next Generation Science standards, that's what we use in California. We just implemented it a few years ago, but it's still we did a beta and then we did a tryout, and now we're in a
We
phase
need to
of it.
kind of move this on.
Okay.
So
But anyway, so
appreciate
just,
that.
let me know what you want to talk to, who you want to talk to, and we can figure something out and go from there. My boss can talk to Spicer for us if there's
Well, it sounds like a community
The
issues.
cause of the question has been on the table. I really need to get to this.
Sorry.
I
got right.
So,
No, that's right.
So Gwen, a quick comment, please.
So I just wanted to talk about the tone of how we approach them in regards to the Christensen Science Center, because it is not an actual part of the major formula of the LAUSD. It's once there's new electeds in and there's new assigned directors and superintendents, it falls off the radar. I suggest that it is that each time these people are put in, that we have to re-advertise to them that this is a tremendous opportunity, and they can be the star of creating something that is programming that will be very advanced, and possibly, the group that is involved with this try to come up with the talk to Kelly about but excite them towards the Christensen Science Center, and not we haven't heard from you, excite them on it and show them the possibilities and actually come up with real things.
Right.
Okay, so we do have the question. Let's take the vote.
Question. Is it on Tom's
His
motion or is it
motion.
on the community issues? Okay.
His motion.
Can you restate the motion, please?
Yeah, state the motion, please.
And I seconded it.
Sorry. I can read my writing better. All right. That would the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council invite the LAUSD administrators and local board member to our next Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council board meeting in light of a multitude of issues of mutual interest.
And who seconded?
I seconded it, Gwen.
Right.
That
Yeah,
discussion.
Thomas first, Gwen second.
So let's call for the vote.
Okay, on the motion just read, Cole Ariola-Carr.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Lorek.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Who? Oh, me. I'm going to abstain.
Ben Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Yes. Ray Regalado.
No. No.
Adam Stevenson.
Abstain.
Angela Sumner.
Abstain.
We have 7 ayes, 1 nay, 3 abstentions. So, yep, that one carries.
Can I say something, sir?
You want to say something?
One thing. I think, Kelly, and I don't want to direct this right at you, but for you and Chris, next time the school board person comes, and this is part of the problem, is don't bring up union issues with them direct. Let them talk about the stuff with the science center and stuff, because I think that kind of threw them off railroad with all this union stuff thrown at them.
They lied, point blank. She point blank
I don't
lied.
think we need that type of conversation about that.
I'm sorry? I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I think I'm hearing you say that they lie.
When she got up and spoke at our meeting,
And that's where I think we're not gaining anything by that type of conversation,
Right.
that type of language.
right,
and stuff
I understand
like
that. And at the
So-
time, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to say something to her. But when she point blank said something was done and it wasn't, that was,
I appreciate that, but we're going to get absolutely nowhere with, if we're going to try to get them over here. So, anyway, all right. I still would like to
We're
make
going-
sure that
we're
you
going
guys,
to.
yeah,
Yeah,
please,
we'll yeah.
and we need a strategy. So I just would like to emphasize that, and we can talk about what that could look like down the line. Okay, we're through with item 8. We're going to go to item 9, and it's our liaison reports. So I'm going to go down real quick. Animal shelter liaison, Angela.
We were over there about a week and a half ago, came home with a kitten, and we've talked to some volunteers and made contact with some connections, and we'll probably have a more lengthy report next month.
Thank you. Department of Water and Power, Dan.
Nothing specific, but just as a stakeholder, I'm proud to say that DWP is doing a much better job managing its equipment and infrastructure than some other public utilities.
Thank you. Public Works liaison, Chris, not here. Waterfront Connectivity Plan liaison, that's Pat Nave, not here. LA Film liaison, Cynthia Gagne, not here. Sustainability Alliance liaison, Gwen.
Nothing this time, but I will have a report next time.
Thank you. Data liaison, Gwen and Vic. Nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
All right. Number 10, announcements, agenda items.
Are we going to be sending out a poll about retreat again?
Yes, I was going to say that we need to be able to put that on the agenda so that we can do an in-person poll and get that thing done, because I was a little disappointed that we didn't pull it off. But that's just me. So that'll be on the next agenda. So anything else? Anyone want? Okay. Any announcements by anyone? No? Okay. All right. Number 11, general public comment on non-agenda item. This is second call on this. Any hands up? Anything? Anyone? No? Okay. And our next meeting is Monday, September the 11th. We are adjourned.
All right.
On time.
At 8:26, please note that with bold letters.
The earliest in my tenure. Good job, Mr. President.
So, Ray,
Yes.
do you want this? I can.
September 11th.
And I can
Yeah.
bring it.